afternoon to everybody. Um, First of all, I think I would like to say very big thank you to each and every one of you because I think for me, time is one of the most important and some of the most valued things in this modern world. Thursday, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, being here, sharing your time with me to explain my short life experience with you, I think has no more value. So, first of all, thank you very much for coming. In the second place, I would like to, before I start, I would like to introduce a short video which more or less summarize the whole idea. Let's go.
Once upon a time, a boy of 12 left home for lack of education in pursuit of a utopian life in Europe, which was like a chorus sung in every conversation in Ghanaian society. Everywhere the streets were gold, milk flows from taps like water. The journey to Europe had begun, meandering his way through dead bodies in the desert and the mafia. At the belly of death, the voyage had begun. The tales told at home did not include the cruelty, the risk, and the death that awaited patrons of the journey. Who would have dared? If only someone had told him the reality. If only he had had access to education. If only he had had access to information about the ordeal. Ousman Umar would not have undertaken a 5-year trekking journey to the Wonderland. Information has become the most important fabric, weaving and shaping our society, our communities, and the world. Information and communication technology has become the bedrock of global development. Lack of these means the prevalence of illiteracy, human and social underdevelopment. The speed with which information communication technology, ICT, is developing and its impact on socio-economic activities cannot be overemphasized. It is imperative that Africa is not excluded from this technological revolution. It is a stark fact that the use of ICT has been integrated into virtually every facet of commerce, education, governance, and civic activity in developed countries, and has become a critical factor in creating wealth worldwide. Unfortunately, in Africa, ICT has barely taken a foothold. Computer illiteracy and a lack of access to ICT are widely recognized as an increasingly powerful obstacle to the economic, civic, and political development of Africa. According to the UN ICT Task Force, nowhere is the digital divide more pronounced than in countries of the African continent. Africa is the most unconnected in an increasingly connected world. This is where Ghana as a country finds itself. It is against this background that the ICT Literacy Project was designed by NASCO, Nuhu and Ousman collaboration. The ICT Literacy Project is designed to offer the best of training, knowledge, skill and information to students in particular, and the general public at large. The organization is founded on the premise that universal primary education is vital to the global community. Our mission is to provide academic resources and to support educational initiatives in underserved communities by strengthening collaboration between African educators and their global counterparts. 3 centers of learning have been established. 8,241 students have passed through our ICT training programs in Introduction to ICT, Intermediate and Advanced courses, and 3,298 currently studying at the centers. Some of our students are gainfully employed in secretarial portfolios, graphic designing, web designing, as well as applying the knowledge in ICT in other areas of study as they cling on to the educational ladder. Hitherto, these students ended in the streets with no skills and eventually embark on the journey of no return, chasing the Europe dream. Support from Labdu, UPC, Nibus Denmark will see the establishment of more centers this summer. The significance of our work has attracted the attention of Open Arms and operative on the Mediterranean Sea to cushion us on our sensitization program and tackle the migration crisis at source. Other projects include educational accessibility for students living with disabilities, beekeeping as economic empowerment for women, and volunteering. In an increasingly pronounced population growth, the activities of NASCO Foundation may be meager or probably just a tiny spark, but we may never know when the spark becomes a flame.
So, this is basically what the NASCO Foundation is and why it was founded. Right now, we have about 11,000 students right now in our centers. We have more than 5-6 centers established and one library in the northern part of Africa, particularly Ghana. The ICT, the first idea was established in September 2012. This is the first computer lab I established, 2012. I had to go buy the computers with my own pocket money at that particular moment, because at this moment, nobody trusted the idea. To prove that I was really absolutely convinced in what I was talking about, I had to, facilitate the first economic support to make it real. However, for you to understand why I created a computer lab, why do I take my pocket money to buy computers for a school for 850 students in a school I never stepped in? To be able to understand more better, I have to give you a little bit explanation about my life history. As you can see, this is my house where I was born. Ghana, we have 42 different tribes. Each tribe is a different culture. My father belongs to the Wala tribe and my mother, Vagla. The most typical activity of my culture or the way of doing is like when a woman, sorry for the inconvenience, I was unfortunately during my birth, my mother died. In my culture, when this kind of disaster happens, they consider the child as a witch because you've killed your mother. In this case, this child should be thrown away, should be killed. That's one of the main reasons why I still say I'm one of the most fortunate men in this world. Why am I alive if I'm supposed to have been killed? My father was the black magician in the whole area. So until he gave the right word to them, nobody was able to put his hands on me. Here we get our greatest engineers in Africa. I was also one of these big engineers. I used to manufacture my own cars when I need a car to play with. We don't have big supermarkets to buy cars, no money. So we have to manufacture any single thing we wanted. One particular day, I was playing with my toy cars with friends. We saw an airplane fly on the sky. I stood up thinking, how is it possible that an airplane could fly? My toy car cannot just move only 1 centimeter by itself without pulling it on a rope. I took a stone, I threw it up, it falls off my head. I couldn't understand why the plane was able to sustain, meanwhile the stone couldn't sustain on the sky. I had no access to education. I was 9 years at this age. This curiosity to understand why the aeroplane, the white man was able to manufacture things like that, and in my case, I couldn't do it. This curiosity takes me to take this trekking journey of 5 good years of my life. 5 years. I left Ghana when I was 13. I ended up in Spain almost 18 years. When I left Ghana, my idea was to go to Libya. But when we get to Niger, there was a big desert here. No means to cross the Sahara Desert. The mafia abandoned us in the middle of the desert. 46 people in total. After 21 good days, only 6 of us was able to make it out of 46. I'm not going to go into details about what happened, definitely. But if any questions come out, I'll give explanations. Once in Libya, under the dictator of Muammar Gaddafi, I stayed for 4 good years. I felt in the trap of the mafia again. We left Libya, crossed Tunisia, Morocco, Algeria, Western Sahara. We manufactured 2 boats. The first attempt, one of the boats sank. My best friend Musa died at that moment, and more than 80 people in that boat, nobody survived. The second attempt, we manufactured 2 different boats again. In the middle of the sea, the other one sank, and no one survived. I still don't know how and why am I here alive. 48 good hours navigating without a particular point where we was going to, because we have no GPS. We finally stuck to an island of Fuerteventura, the Canadian island. This, as you can imagine, this is real. This is what's happening every day, day in, day out. Finally, I was able to make it to the city of Barcelona. 17, 18 years boy, alone, no telephone, no family, no friends. Don't speak Spanish, don't speak Catalan. For me, I call it the urban forest. I was almost illiterate at this moment. I don't know how to read and write. Find your way in a city like Barcelona, for me, is worst. The forest for me is better than finding my way here. After a month living on the street, that was in February 2005, a lot of cold, it was very cold. A wonderful thing happened again. I met this woman on the street. I just asked her, I wanted to go to the Red Cross. End up being my adopted family. I was almost 18 good years. For me, I think it's a miracle. I still remember everywhere, every institution we go. I went with my parents seeking for documentation, how to make it legal. There was no way to make it, because a child more than 5 years, nobody adopts you. I was almost 18. These things happened. So I had opportunity to be a born again. I started to learn Spanish, Catalan, read and write, mathematics, English. I studied bachillerato, my junior high school. I was able to achieve a quite good note, so I was able to go to University of Barcelona. I studied chemistry for 2 years because I wanted to know whether the black magic was real or the science was. That's a fact. That's a fact. To understand why what things my father used to do was, what was the difference? At the end, I have to quit from chemistry. I studied administration of companies, marketing and public relations. I graduated last year, and right now I'm studying a master's degree in TEDxESADE Barcelona. Here is an example of what a lot of people have been saying. We need to give, you don't have to give the fish, you need to teach how to fish. People say it a lot, but to put it in practical, I think in my case, this is a real example of why the foundation was created, and the real example of education is really the key to success. When I arrived here in Barcelona, this is my junior brother. He wanted to sell all the chickens and fowls we had there to come to Europe too. He used to say paradise. It wasn't easy to convince him that the solution is to go to school. But at the end, I was able to convince him. I supported him in education. He graduated from political science, and here he's launching his own company. He has 6 people working under this company right now. This is an example that if we really want to support, want to help Africa, education is the key. However, it's almost said that every work normally has its award. Last June, the International Telecommunication Union at Geneva, United Nations, acknowledged our work and was awarded for what we've been doing. And here it was. So, making a long story very short, I would like to end here. If there is any question, I'll be very grateful to be able to answer you. Thank you very much.